Good morning, everybody. So today I'm actually filming on the day of. So today is Thursday. It's the day that we call Thursday. It's still the month that we call May. And it's the date that we call the 22nd. And it's about 6:25. It is 6:25 a.m. here, Eastern Standard Time. So one of the comments yesterday was that you couldn't see the cards all the way. So what you do, if you're watching on YouTube, you go down to the corner of your screen, to the right hand corner, down, and tap on it. And then you'll see this little like kind of box that comes up. And tap it again, and it will enlarge your picture. So that's what you've got to do in order to see the whole thing. I hope that helps. So don't follow any links or emails in the comment section of either of my channels. Still not able to upload to Rumble, but when I can, don't follow any links there either. Those are scammers. Don't follow them. It's not me, and it's probably not the people they're pretending to be. So don't follow them. Scam. The healing intentions is set for you folks, always. So if you so choose, go ahead and decree that for your highest and greatest good, only and always. And breathe that in through the nose and out through the mouth, and do that for as long as you want. Today, we're going to be looking at the UK. All right, so I've got a bunch of questions. Somebody wants me to take another look at Canada, because Canada is going through, much the same thing we're seeing all over the world. It looks like a shit show. And it looks like the nut jobs are ruling the roost, and it just, doesn't look good. So they want to take a peek at that. And then someone asked me to please look at the UK. Ungreat things happen in there, as seems like the rest of the world, the whole world. So we're gonna look at the UK, and we're gonna look at Canada, if I can fit them both into this reading. If not, we will look at Canada tomorrow. And then I've got a bunch of other questions too. But some of those questions don't really seem to be as important as people, when you're living in a country, you want to know what's going on. And that takes precedence over like other little things, right? So we're going to take a look at the UK, and we're going to take a look at Canada. Hopefully we can fit them both into this reading. But if not, we'll look at Canada tomorrow. So that's how that's going to go down today. So let's see. I think I'm going to put you down. I'm going to angle you just a little bit more like that. And we'll get this show rocking and rolling. Now, the other thing is, I have a friend right now that I'm very worried about. They're having some heart issues. If you wouldn't all mind, the universe will know who you're sending healing intentions to. If you wouldn't mind sending her some healing intentions and some love and some light, I would love that, please and thank you. And in case any shitbags are listening, if you get a stupid idea to send negative intentions, the fact is, my friend does not accept that kind of shit, and that would just come flowing right back on you. So be very careful, because what you put out in the world, you will get back. And you can multiply that times 3. Always be intentional. And when you're not being good with your intentions, that comes back to kick your ass. So just wanted to put that out there, just in case. I think most of the people that are subscribed to this channel are some of the most loving, beautiful people in the world, honestly. But you never know what scumbag might be tuning in at what point. So there you have it. All right, you guys. So first, let's take a look. We want to look at the UK. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a card, and what I want to know, a true story, obviously, about the true energy that's covering the UK as far as political government, the true energy of what's covering the UK. Not what we're necessarily seeing, but the truth. Because we're living through a psychological warfare, and a lot of what seems to be happening on the world stage could be an illusion. As far as who's really in control, do you know what I'm trying to say here? My guides know, because we talk about it all the time. My highest self, my creator, and my guides know. So I just want you guys to understand what it is that I'm seeking for information here. All right, so that's what I want to know. I want to know the truth, and I'm just going to pull one card, and I want to see the truth about what's covering the UK as far as what's really controlling it, who really has power. Just with one card, we'll see if it's good or if it's negative with the one card, okay, you guys? So let's get started there, and from there, we will then go ahead and we'll do a 7-card spread, and we'll get a look at your pathway, and we'll get a look at the story around you, and we'll just see what's going on with the UK. So first off, we're going to look at the true energy that covers the UK, please and thank you, as far as political control of the policies being implemented and the things going on in the UK. Please and thank you. One card. True story. The truth about what's covering the UK. And let's see what they give us there. All right, we're going to cut them. Pull a card. The Hanged Man. So the truth about what's going on in the UK with the Hanged Man would be that you're in a state of limbo. That 4 is, if you notice with the Hanged Man, his legs are in the shape of a 4. So the 4 is doing work to create some semblance of peace, balance, harmony within the country. You're in a state of limbo right now, okay? You're in a phase of enlightenment, and the vibration is high. Always remember with the Hanged Man that this is a position that he can get out of any time. It's all an illusion of being stuck or trapped or hanging. It's an illusion that the hands are behind their back tied. It's an illusion, right? It's just hanging out in limbo, working to create balance for enlightenment. All right? So your country, and then of course we have that 12 vibration, which breaks down to a 3, which is joy. So rejoice. Your country's in limbo right now. There's work going on there to create some semblance of peace, balance, harmony. It may seem like you guys are trapped in a state that you don't really like, but it's an illusion. You can get out of this at any time, and great enlightenment is taking place through this period that you're going through. So that's interesting. With that, I would like a 7-card spread, please and thank you, showing us the UK's pathway and showing us the UK and the story around that, please and thank you. Also, with that Hanged Man, don't forget secondary messages. Possibly some of your people that you're seeing have already been hanged. And this is for entertainment purposes only, right? Okay, no harm meant to, this is not meant to harm or hurt anybody in any way. So let's take a look at the 7-card spread, and then we can go deeper onto the Hanged Man. But let's get a 7-card spread first, representing your country's pathway, story around it in your country. Please and thank you. Moving forward. So your country's actually moving forward, even though it may seem you're in limbo. Okay? So keep that in mind, you guys. With that 7, you should be able to see the proofs. Okay? And again, you know, he's moving forward. He's important with the Chariot. That's a higher arcana card representing your country. First card down. So he's important. Your country is important. You're moving forward in a more balanced way, even though you don't know it. And that's why you're in a state of limbo right now, I would say. So let's just keep pulling the cards. There's a cycle ending there in the UK. What's driving your pathway is chaos and suffering to create happy endings. I just want to make sure that you guys can see all of these. I'm going to move the Hanged Man out of the way for a minute. All right, so let's take a look at your 7-card spread, you guys. So let's go with your pathway first, okay? So the biggest portion of what's driving your entire pathway is chaos, infighting, great change with that 5 of Rods. So that you're living through chaos, you're living through ungreat times, division probably, and that's the overall feeling of what's going on there within your country. Above you, you have the 5 of Pentacles. So you're getting 2 5s right in a row. 5s always represent great change through pain, suffering, and chaos. So don't forget, though, that with this 5 of Pentacles, that's my systems card. And that's the suffering that the systems have allowed for people to happen. Sorry, let me reword that. I'm going too fast. That is the card that, for me, represents systems that have had more than enough, that have sat back and allowed human suffering. Not only allowed it, but sometimes been part of it, is what this card represents to me. And at the very top of your pathway, so chaos is what started your pathway, suffering is where you're at right now, and at the very top, you have the 10, which ends the cycle happily. This is happy, celebratory endings for all. It feels good with that 10 of Cups. So your cycle is ending right above you. What's ending, you ask? Well, the human suffering and the systems that have been taken advantage of the people that have been created, that they created human suffering on. All right, so that's what's ending. So now let's take a look at your story. So I already told you your story starts with your country. Your country is actually making progress moving forward. So let me get on my jacket because I'm really cold. We're having another cold, icky day here. Cold, damp, rainy. It's just shitty. And I know that other people need rain. They know that when they manipulate the weather in one place, it affects everywhere else too. And right now they've just been dumping rain here on us. And I think someone said in Canada they're experiencing much the same type of weather that we are here in Maine. I'm not sure what part of Canada, but yeah, they know when they're manipulating the weather that it spreads out and affects other places as well. They've been spraying the shit out of us, just chemtrail heaven going on. It's ridiculous. All right, so your country is being represented by the Chariot. That's a higher arcana card, so that's very karmic, okay? You're actually moving forward in a more balanced way, even though what's in between you and a cycle ending it feels terrible. It's it's showing the suffering, it's showing the poverty, it's showing the sickness, it's showing the oppression. It's vibrationally pretty low there right now. But you're represented, the country itself is, you know, the UK itself is represented as the Chariot moving forward in a more balanced way. And with that 7, all you have to do is seek that knowledge. There's evidence of it, you know, so you have to look for it. Across from moving forward, a cycle for you folks has ended. And they're saying that in your pathway too. So this is the Pentacles. So a cycle on the earth plane with the earthly pleasures, which is right there with every single thing that we need in our daily lives, right? All of those things of value. Your food, your air, your water, your loved ones, your bank account, your vehicles, your homes, your medicines, your systems, everything upon the earth plane. Everything about the way that you were doing things there in the UK, you're ending a cycle. The cycle's ended. And it's a good thing that it did. Right above you, it's taken quite a bit of time with Temperance, another Temperance, another higher arcana card, you guys. So this has been in motion for a very long time because Temperance alchemizes things, but so Temperance takes, like, let's just say she takes a stone and then she alchemizes it into water or whatever, right? But she's doing it over a long period of time, and it's brought to you via the heavens, right? So a higher vibration is alchemizing something that wasn't working, because anytime you have to end something, it wasn't working. Alchemizing it in a way that's going to feel good when it ends, the happy ending, because it was done with those higher vibrations. Is that making sense to you? Temperance is also very connected to the water. She's connected to the earth. She has joy around her. It's a heavenly body. So there's all of this high vibrations, but she's very connected to the water. So emotions flow pretty deeply when Temperance gets involved to create the change. So this is an alchemizing of something, and it's a big deal, right? And then so it's the change, and then you've got the other 2 5s, great change. So you're going through a lot of change to create endings so that you can move forward in a more balanced way, a way that works better. And you should be able to see the proof. The Page of Pentacles right above you are moving forward in a more balanced way that works better. You have that Page of Pentacles, and that's so you're ending something because you're starting something new, and it looks like you're in that limbo phase right now. So even though you're going through great change through chaos and despair, something fresh is coming in to touch that despair, and so to fix it, right? But also because the page is holding on to that pentacle and the despair is right here, there's a hyper focus on the despair, okay? And so what's being alchemized is the despair. And so that's being alchemized, which would also create heavy emotions around it. So you're going through quite a time to fix things there in the UK. And so now that I've explained all of that, I think the fresh things are coming in. You should be able to see them because that's right above the Chariot. Fresh energy is coming in, but there's a hyper focus on the despair and suffering. So let's take a look further. Let's get more of a story for you folks there in the UK. Right on top of this. More story. don't forget, she's alchemizing the suffering. The suffering is going to be very viewable. Even though endings are happening, two endings, happy, touching each other. The ending touching the temperance, right? Moving forward, happy endings. Moving forward, fresh things. But as chaos rules what's moving you forward, as you move forward, you might see some more chaos. You might see more chaos as things visibly come to pass. That chaos is what's going to make that ending feel good. Is that making sense to everybody? All right, so now let's get more story. More higher arcana cards, you guys. So the first card down, touching the fresh things are high vibrations, right? And the Fool, like, it looks as though you're about ready to tip over a cliff. And maybe that's being hyper-focused on. Maybe it looks as though your country is about to tip right off the edge. But if you pay attention to the Fool, it may also look like you don't have all your needs met. So you may be suffering things like shortages and things like that, or you may be feeling threats of shortages. But with the Fool card, there's a very high vibration there that people forget about. And there's this little dog. And though the dog isn't very noticeable, the dog is actually what's keeping the Fool grounded. So what you may be seeing, foolish behaviors, a poor running of your country where whoever is in charge or the people in charge seem to be acting foolish, not taking care of the people's needs, heads to the sky or up their ass with the Fool, displaying themselves ridiculously, looking like they're going to take the UK right off the edge. Don't forget, this dog's actually what keeps that person grounded in reality. So there is control that you're not seeing that's actually keeping this person in check. So, right, and that's a higher arcana card. So then right beside that, you've got the Wheel of Fortune. This is very karmic, and what you're not seeing maybe is that this person has actually been put back on the bottom. So the people that were doing these ungreat things, or that are showing you that they're doing ungreat things, are actually at the bottom of the totem pole, because their cycle, things have come back around, and these people that were leading you, that looked as though they were leading you right off the cliff, have been grounded, and they've been put back on the bottom. In other words, they don't really hold that power. And then right underneath that, you guys have that moon. And with that moon, and don't forget, the Wheel of Fortune is also a 10 energy, another ending. And that Wheel of Fortune is touching your 10 here and your 10 here. So you have 3 endings right in a row. This is very karmic, right? And it's also touching your temperance. So that's what she's been alchemizing over time, is these assholes that were in power. She's been slowly putting them back on the bottom. Their cycle is ending. They misused their cycle. And now everything's been flipped around. Is that making sense to you folks? All right, so then you have your moon. You have your moon energy, right? The moon ends a cycle. Again, when you're looking at that, you've got 18. 18 breaks down to 9. 9 is ending a cycle, right? So the moon has been helping temperance end your cycle there, okay? And temperance also, when you look at temperance, like, that's a vibration of love. Like I said, this is heaven. This is loving, heavenly, high vibrational energy that's bringing upon this change to the UK. So very, very high vibrational, okay? But temperance creates that great change, through chaos, because in order to change something over time, people often don't like change, and they wouldn't change if things didn't get rough. Do you know what I'm saying? So with the moon, you're ending this cycle, and people are chattering about it. So the moon reveals things. So you should have reveals. There should be reveals as to evidence that you're moving forward. There should be reveals as to the evidence that things are ending. There should be reveals about these guys that are now in being grounded, so to speak, that were acting foolish with your country. And there should be reveals and evidence of how they actually don't have power, or it looks as though the worm is turning for them and they're losing their power and being put back on the bottom. People should be talking about it already. There should be evidence there. Other people are coming up and they're kind of noticing things that maybe they didn't notice before. And that moon just reveals all as it ends things. So that's where we're there. So the beast has actually been tamed, and the beast would be the people that were acting foolish, that looked as though they were taking the UK right over the cliff. So the beast has actually been tamed. Look at all these higher arcana cards. Not only have they been tamed, but they've been bound. Okay? So they've been bound, and don't forget we started out with the Hanged Man. So not only has that beast been tamed, but it's been bound. The information is out there. There's quite a lot of straight up truth out there for you guys. You got that seek the information. Here with that binding. The information with the here the beast has been tamed and bound. So there is information there that will tell you truth, but there's also information that's tipped sideways a little bit. So be discerning, you guys. When you find this information, it may not look as though they're bound tightly, but what you have to know is that it's all being controlled and that the beast has been tamed. Okay, so then we're ending this, and I'm going to come back up here, you guys. Traps were set for these people. Who were the traps set for? The beasts. The beasts that were tamed, and the traps were set for those beasts that have been bound. Is that making sense for you? And so I want to go on to more story. But I've used a lot of cards, so I'm going to pick them up, and I'm going to keep going with this story. So traps were already set for these guys. Traps were set, and that's how they were tamed. That's how the beast was tamed. That's how they were bound. That's how they were put back on the bottom of the cycle. That's how the ruckus is out there for you guys to be talking about. And those traps were set, and that's how they were stopped from taking your country right over the cliff, and other people kind of came in and grounded them and tamed them and bound them and put them back on the bottom. Is this making sense? Because remember that, you guys, because I'm pulling up all of these cards, and I'm going to keep going with more story. So traps were set for them. So I'm going to leave off with the traps were set for them, and now I'm going to ask the universe to give us the pathway of the traps and the story around that. Okay, so we're going to do another 7-card spread, and then we can get more story on top of it if we would like to, which we'll see what they say and see if we need to, and then we'll confirm that we're getting the story that the universe is telling you right now correctly or not. All right, so we've left off with traps being set, so I would like to continue the story of the traps being set right here and the story around it and the pathway and all of that. Please and thank you. Let's get the rundown for the UK. One more shuffle, and then we're going to cut them 3 times, and I'm going to pull from the middle unless I'm triggered to pull otherwise. But usually we just do it from the middle, and yeah, I felt compelled to take it from the middle. We're keeping the Hanged Man here. We just chose to keep the Hanged Man out, right? Because we're going to ask more off of that too. All right, so first card up representing traps being set. Just gonna arrange these. Never get the angle right twice. Just never do. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on. All right, so let's go. All right, we said let's get more of a story after the traps were set. So the traps were set for those people. Very successful mission there. And when you take a look at that, the sun represents celebrations. So celebrate, you guys. The traps were set. Apparently these bastards were caught successfully because the beast was tamed and they were bound. Even though it may appear to you that the binding is very loose. So anyways, this card represents children, warmth, sun, vitality. All right. So why were the traps set? Well, maybe they were messing around with your kids. Maybe they were messing around with your money. Maybe they were messing around with all of the things that bring you sustenance, because the sun allows us to live. Without the sun, we wouldn't be able to grow the food, right? We wouldn't be able to do the things that we needed to do to survive on this earth plane. So maybe they were messing around with everything, more than likely. I have no doubt, because judgment is leading this pathway. And great wake-up call, right? Also bringing in, it's like you have to wake up, because balance, you're so off kilter and so off balance that the shocks have to wake you up so that you can bring some semblance of normalcy back to your, in this case, the UK, right? So you have the sun representing the traps that were set. So rejoice, you guys, okay? Because, again, you know, this breaks down to a 3. Rejoice because you've got those sunflowers, which bring joy. Rejoice because you have the warmth of the sun that's now able to bring you the sustenance that you need. Because right above the sun, you have the 6, which is a love and vibration. But you, so the 6 can be set up bad and it can be set up good, right? So if this were a shitty card, it would be those in power that dole out the breadcrumbs unfairly, though they try to make themselves look altruistic. All right? And if it's set up good, it's those in power realizing that they feel compelled, they've got to get out there and they've got to help. Now, when we're talking about the traps that were set to make the changes within the UK that put the people in power back around on the bottom, tamed their beastly ways, and bound them, possibly even hanged them with the hanged man, then you've got to remember that we are still discussing the trap set and why. So if you look at why, like I said, probably things being done with your children and with everything that you folks need to sustain yourselves, which when you get the Fool, again, it looks like the country is going right off the cliff, right? And maybe you guys didn't have what you actually needed to sustain yourselves. Okay, so that's why the traps were set, because of things that were happening with all of your assets, with your children, with the things that would help you to sustain yourself. So somebody had to come in and had to ground this and stop this from going right over the cliff. In other words, it looks like the UK, the intentions for the UK were to be toppled. Kind of like the intentions for America. They were just going to topple us, right? Take us down into absolute destruction. And that looks like that's what was happening there. So traps were set for this reason and this reason, and also because of where these people who pretended to like be putting their money to help those in need. So I wonder if you folks will end up with having some investigations into the ways that they laundered your money as well. Okay? And then across from that, again, we've got the Empress. Okay? So she brings great healing. She brings great healing in from whoever is stopping your country from falling off the cliff. So great healing comes via that Empress so that you can birth something new as you end all of those cycles that we were seeing in the last layouts. Now your pathway is judgment, and there's a lot of judgment that has been raining down on the UK, and that's why traps were set. And as far as the evidence that it said in the last reading, again, with judgment, this is like a wake-up call for those that are seeking the information or the evidence, or that are paying attention, or that are finally coming up from their slumber, or that are finally coming up from their oh-so-busy lives that they can finally pay attention because things have gotten bad enough because you were about taken over the cliff. And so, you know, judgment came in and had to set those traps. You guys were being, the UK was being highly focused on, hyper-focused on, that's a page, hyper-focused on with what was going on where? Well, right beside you with everything, your assets, your children, everything. In the physical journey, there had to be a hyper-focus there. Right above you, you've got that Queen of Wands, and she can be a real bitch if she's set up wrong. And we're talking in this reading about why those traps were set, right? So you had some really icky people in power. The Queen of Wands represents, when you're talking about a shit show, very witchy, dark, black magic, nasty intentions, while sitting on the world stage in a place of great power or money. So, so who is in control of the UK, doing all of these nasty things? Well, doing all these nasty things with all of your money, okay? They're the reason why you've been hyper-focused on. And the people in power that were taking your country off the cliff, they're the ones that have been grounded. They've been stopped. They may have looked to the world as though they were very altruistic, and they probably, oh, we've given this money to this charity, and we've done this and we've done that. But the truth is, they were hiding in plain sight, looking one way, looking like, oh, powerful, royal, wonderful, when in fact they were very, very dark, probably part of the club, and that's why they've been grounded. Do you see what I'm saying? And healing has to come in. You're having, because this has been grounded and the foolishness is actually being stopped, because of the traps that were set, because of the judgment that's come in, because of the things that they were doing, healing is on the way. You're birthing something new with that Empress. Things just have to be done over for you folks. So let's get more story. I think that's pretty good. But let's just give them the opportunity to say more. And then we will check to see if all of these messages are coming through in the way that they would like them to. Please and thank you. So judgment has rained down and on the nasty things that the royals, the leaders, these powerful people have been doing to take the UK right over the cliff. What they've been doing with money, probably laundering, fake charities and whatnot. What they've been doing with the children, purposely creating shortages in areas, probably. Lots of nefarious crap, okay, you guys? So let's take a look and get more of a story. Let's take a peek. Do they want to speak anymore? New journey. So they want to talk about what you're going to have grounded into your physical journey next. Okay, you guys? So very high vibration, more abundance with this high priestess, a much more balanced way of moving forward where abundance can take that balance on the earth plane between that dark and that light. Okay, so new high vibrational people that want to keep the dark at bay, bring abundance, balance to restore the UK. Rejoice. Happy endings. This is going to feel incredibly good to you when you're finally living in this piece of this is all ended. The bullshit has ended. And they're telling you right now the new journeys come in. They've got to ground it in, right? So this is behind you. What is behind you? What is behind you? And then you're standing there with your journey, the world stage, getting ready to move forward. So you can't move forward until everything's ended. But you are also holding the world in your hand there in the UK. So this is going to be like a world stage event that helps bring these things in, that helps bring this happy ending. So it's something to do with the whole world right now. So it's not just you, not just me, not just any other country. Like, this is a worldwide mission. What's it a worldwide mission on? Well, it's a worldwide mission. The battle between the light and the dark. It's a worldwide mission to bring in balance. It's a worldwide mission to bring in abundance. It's a worldwide mission to bring in people who can help, I don't want to say rule, but help govern, help create the systems in place that we need that will actually be a high vibrational person that wants to create a good situation, keeping the dark at bay as much as possible, right? For these happy endings to actually happen, you guys. So, but the journey, the new stuff is right there. The healing has begun. You're birthing things new. The beast has been tamed. The bad guys are back on the bottom. People have been bound, though it may look to you, some have been bound loosely. So you might be seeing some people being brought up on charges, or you might be seeing some people finally getting in the news, or you may be seeing some people that don't look at all like they should. And, you know, all of these different things. So you have to look for your information. Remember, we did get the 7, the seeker. But they're telling you this is, you know, new things have come in because the high priestess has rolled in and created that balance, that war between the dark and the light to create the ending. It's just that right now you don't seem to be moving forward. And remember, the reason why you don't seem to be moving forward is because those systems that have been creating the human suffering are what's right in between you right now. So it's a showcase of that, if that's making sense. And the fact is, it doesn't look like anybody's going to be moving forward until everything is kind of lined up on the world stage to help us all move forward in a more positive light. Does that make sense to you? So with that being said, I want to see if I delivered the message to all of you folks. If I did a good job delivering the messages, if they came through correctly, and if this is all, if this is all the universe has to say. So we will double check to make sure that I've given you everything that they feel is important for you to know right now. And that was 44 minutes, and I haven't even checked yet. So I'm probably only going to focus on the UK this morning, you guys. Then I'll pull a card for all of us. But right now I want to see if I've been able to deliver the message in the way that our Creator and my spiritual team and my highest self can see, view, and tell us the story, right? So let's see. One card, please and thank you. Have I delivered this message in full correctly? Please and thank you. What you wanted to say. Okay, so I've delivered you quite a bit of the message. The message that I've delivered you, you should be able to see, right? So I've seen the parts that they gave us, so quite a bit, but there's more that they want to say. So I'm going to let them, but I'm going to pull up all of these cards because I want to be able to work with all of the cards, you guys. So there's more. So I've helped to plant the seeds of knowledge that you can probably find the evidence of. I've given you some of the story, but there is more that they want to say. So I'm just going to allow the story to unfold downward. And because I think we've gotten those pathways that say quite a bit. And so let's just go downward from that. Just allow like a conversation to unroll, okay? And let's see what other pieces they want. What other piece they would like to address right now with all of you in the UK. And one more shuffle. We'll cut them. Let's take a look. They're giving you the Hermit. A highly guided mission. The ending of a cycle. This is very high vibrational. There's a big light being shown on. Victories. So they want you to look for the victories. They want you to see that this has been a battle, this has been a war, and that we've won. They want you to focus on the things that are high vibrational. They want you to seek the evidence. They want you to feel that love vibration, but they want you to seek the evidence that this is a war and we are winning. We've won. We've come home celebrating the battle. They're giving you a pep talk now, I think. Okay? Let me finish laying it all out. Can you see that? Goodness gracious. How's that? I think that's pretty good. All right, so I gave you a good portion of what they wanted to say, but they did want to say more, okay? So we allowed them to come down and shine the light on what more they wanted to say. So the more that they wanted to say from the heavens is that this is highly guided. We're being guided all over, okay? And this is to complete a cycle. So they're saying that they want you to focus. They're shining a light on the battles that have been won. They want you to seek that out and focus on that. They are saying that there does need to be a light shown on the suffering. There does need to be a light shown on the imbalance, the people that pretended to care and do the things that made them look as though they were helpful when in fact they weren't. Okay, so they've got to shine a light on these things. They want you to also continue to do your research. A light does need to be shown on the suffering, but a light needs to be shown on the wins. And the reason why it needs to be shown on the wins is because this battle, this war that we have been going through has been going on for longer than you think. The cycle is coming to an end, so the wins will be viewable because they're saying the light's being shown on it. But they want you to know how hard fought it was and how many people were hurt, injured, lost their lives fighting this battle so that we could win and bring in something new. Okay, so this is a reminder from the universe that this has been a long, ongoing, what's been long and ongoing? Well, a state of suffering. What else has been long and ongoing? The battle itself, the war. This guy's a warrior. He's been to war. He's at the end of the cycle, but he's been incredibly hurt, and he's lost a lot. A lot of his buddies that fought with him, family that fought with him. He's lost a lot. This has been hard fought to get these wins, okay? So why was this battle fought? Because of human suffering, because of the people within the systems that were doing harm, because of the systems that were doing harm. Why was this battle fought? Because of people in power that were abusive, and they had more than they needed, and they allowed human suffering. So all forms of human suffering. This battle was fought to bring something new in. Okay? Something new has come out of this old vibration. The way things were done were able to show us how to start something new. So there's quite a lot to this message. They want us to focus on the good stuff, and they don't want us to forget why we're going through this stuff, why it's being spotlighted, and they don't want us to forget that we're winning, and that people have suffered to help us win. Because I do think often people are like, when are we going to get to this, and when are we going to get to that? Well, that's really easy for us to say, you guys, when we're sitting back in our homes, surrounded by our pets and our family. Even if we're struggling, we're not struggling like that. There's a huge difference. So they don't want us to forget that. They don't want us to lose sight. They don't want us to get so caught up that we're being self-centered, self-absorbed, and kind of selfish without stepping back and taking a broader look and understanding that things are being done in a particular way, and people have died, lost their lives, and been injured to bring us these wins. So, and for something new to start. So I believe all of us can stand to hear that. And I want to know if I've delivered this correctly, please and thank you. Though we may have suffered through this, these guys have paid the ultimate price, right? I mean, being the person having to fight the battles, truly, these types of battles, it wrecks the mind, it wrecks the body, it breaks the heart. It can literally wither the soul. So we need to remember and feel grateful, is what they're telling us. That others have suffered more than us because we were suffering to bring us something new. So they gave the ultimate in order to help bring us something new. Is that what you're saying? Please and thank you. Whoop, this card fell out. They have more to talk. They have more to say. So I'm gonna let them talk there, but I'm gonna continue to shuffle and till I feel like they're done. So with this card, as we're getting this type of message, it's saying shake the bandages off, open the eyes, see clearly, hear clearly, lift your vibration, pull yourself out of the doldrums, and lift that vibration higher. It's up to us to do the work so that we can see clearly. We're kind of holding ourselves back if we're not seeing it, and it's also very low vibrational to stay stuck in this kind of state, right? So let's see what else they want to say there. Again, lift that vibration, celebrate. A lot of work has gone in over a long period of time. So they're saying, yeah, shake off the bandages, right? Shake off that low vibration and open the eyes to see clearly. Lift your vibration, practice your own discernment, use your self-healing. Pull yourself up out of the doldrums, because she's got one foot in water. So she's sitting there bound, going, oh, woe is me. They don't want us to do that. They want us to lift our vibration. They want us to stand in our power and use our thoughts and our words with integrity and honor and high frequency. We should be celebrating and rejoicing, because for a long ass time this has been going on. This has been a long, long, long journey with that workhorse. Slow, steady, but very physically hard. Okay? Very physically hard. So this has gone on for a long time. And they want us to understand how physically hard this has actually been, how long this battle has actually been going on. Lift our vibrations, focus on the good things, remember why these things were done for us, use our words, our thoughts, our vibrations with integrity and honor, and celebrate, rejoice, come together, celebrate, because there was a lot of work done for a long period of time to actually help us lift that vibration, okay? So when you think of that in all the ways that that card represents, there's also been a lot of work done over a period of time to lower people's vibrations. So you got to look at the other side of that. There's been a lot of work done over a long period of time to get people to be able to see clearly and start lifting their own vibration. Okay, so lift your vibrations, very important. Use your thoughts, your words, and your energy with integrity and high vibrations. In other words, in the words of my father, quit your bitching, right? So they're telling us all to quit our bitching and really look for the good stuff, because the bitching, because these are thoughts, words, right? And the bitching and the negative feelings, because her foot's in water, lowers our vibration. And they want us to raise our frequency. Do the work. And it is work to lift the frequency. Like we have to do it on our own. We can't get anybody else to do it for us. That's work that we have to do. I know there are a lot of people out there saying, oh, you don't have to do anything. Just sit on the couch and, you know, all of a sudden the sun's going to flare and you're going to get thrown into a 5D state of reality and you'll have had to do nothing to get yourself there. That's bullshit, in my opinion. Nothing worth anything is just handed to us. Anything that we value, we've worked for. If we haven't worked for it, we don't value it. And that's just how it is. That's the world we live in. So they want us doing the work to lift our frequency. So have I delivered the message to you correctly? Please and thank you. Have I delivered the message to myself and to everybody that tunes in and is interested in this reading correctly, please and thank you? How have I done? How have I done? Thus far. I've done pretty good. There's more, but I have questions too. You guys keep talking. You want to bring in more, and I appreciate that you talk and you give us a good idea of things. But I have 2 more questions that I want to ask too, and we're already an hour in. So with this, have I done a good job? I've done a good job focusing. We all need to lift our heads. Secondary message, we all need to lift our heads. There's more. But that's also telling me there's more. This is the 4. This is working to help create balance within our feelings and our emotional bodies. There's more. They want to say more. So our emotional bodies, our minds, our thoughts, our words, celebrate, rejoice. They want to talk about our emotional bodies. Let's take a peek at the message they've got there as far as how things make us feel. Wow. Done a whole hour already. Maybe they'll answer the questions in this that I have. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to go too long, but I know these long readings must feel daunting to have to get through, because you can always pause them and go back to where you left off. So let's see. Let's get more of the conversation here as far as our emotions go. We have to lift our heads. We have to lift our heads and feel those things that are good that are coming our way. We can't stay so focused on the things that feel bad. We really need to work to create emotional health and balance within ourselves. We're talking about emotions now. That's the cup we're focusing on. So the story is going to unfold via our emotions, okay? More cups, more emotions. All right, so they're telling us the systems are going through great change with chaos. This chaos is what's being focused on, okay? And that's making people feel down in the doldrums. So what we have to lift our head to see is the great change so that our feelings will feel better. We've got to lift our emotional state because, listen, when we're manifesting, you guys, we have to be in a certain vibrational alignment to be able to receive what it is that we want and to actually be happy, okay? So we cannot be happy if we're looking for happiness outside of ourselves. This person is in the doldrums because he's focusing on something outside of himself, and it's 3D and it makes him feel bad. Okay, so in this reading, he would be focusing on all of these people in power, all of these systems, all of these governments, all of these royals, all of these things, where he's focusing on the bad stuff and it's making him feel bad. So in order to feel better, he has to lift his head to the heavens because the heavens is bringing in the happy feeling. But he has to actually pick his head up and look. It's right there in front of him. What are the heavens ushering in that will make him feel good? Well, it's actually that great change that everybody wants. What are the heavens ushering in? Well, it's a higher frequency because now we're looking at the swords, right? And so the heavens are actually ushering in a higher frequency. We're spending all of this time praying for something, right? What are we praying for? Well, we're praying for a great change because that's touching, right? And what we're not doing in the midst of all of this prayer, seeking from outside of ourselves, is lifting our own vibration. So I'm not saying all of you are doing that. What they're telling us is we can do better, okay? So we could be lifting our head, seeing the great change, emotionally feeling how that makes us feel. We could be praying, yes, but also doing things to lift our own frequency and vibration, because right now we're focusing too much on what's outside of ourselves. And you'll see this sword right here, you guys, that's right under our bed. So that's literally, we have to lift our vibration for that to come up and hang on the wall. Okay, so they really want us to feel happy, rejoice, focus on the great change, lift our own vibration, and also lift that vibration by taking note of what the universe has brought in. Pay attention to the earth's heartbeat. Pay attention to the things that show you as people wake up and maybe have started finding their own spiritual belief and their crowns waking up and they're actually getting divine messages. Pay attention to how the universe is actually like shifting vibration a little here so that it will make it easier for us to do our own work, right? And pay attention to the balance that's being created. Get happy because there's been stuff going on with the medicine that should make us feel good. In other words, the great change, you're seeing it. You have to look for it, but there's been deals made that are obvious that we should be rejoicing about. With who? This is like a marriage, soul mates. Deals have been made. People have come together to help bring in this higher vibe, these joyful gifts. People have come together and made deals to help create great change within the systems. You know, people have come together to look at the things that keep people's vibrations low. So that's your medicines, your foods, things like that. And great changes taking place in all of these things. Though it may seem slow, we really have to lift our heads and look and stop focusing so much on the bad stuff and find that joy in the proofs that we have. Because I would say what's happening right now is that people's vibrations are starting to go, and they're trying really hard to give us this pep talk and build us back up. Because all of this is available for us to find, know, see, and it's always within our power. If we stand within our power, our happiness only comes from within. So no matter how good a world you lived in, if you weren't happy inside, you would still be miserable, because you're always going to be seeking the next thing. Oh my God, this is going to go long, but I'm going to tell you a story right now. So I happen to know somebody that works in the trades, and they work with the companies that work in the trades for the people that have a lot of money. I need a sip of coffee. And so there's nothing wrong with having a lot of money, but if the money is what's the only thing that's fulfilling you, then you're never fulfilled. And I think a lot of people that have grown up with money, and also people that have grown up with nothing, they seek the money, right? So the people that grew up with a lot of money were taught by their parents that rewards came from things. So, oh, you've been good this week, let me give you money. Or, oh, you've been good this week, let me buy you something new. Or, oh, everybody deserves to have, and then, money is spent. So what these people end up doing, because they're never really taught how to be emotionally full, spiritually full, mentally sound, everything is about things. Are you seeing what I'm saying? And then you have people that are poor that grew up with nothing, and they're in fight and flight, and they're in that root chakra that's incredibly damaged, and their needs may not always get met. And so the drive for them becomes to only get things, because they don't feel safe. They don't want to be hungry anymore. They don't want to be cold. They don't want to be unsheltered. So the root chakra is on fire, and they're not connected in their heart, and they're not connected in their consciousness to source and to guides and to their highest self and to those higher frequencies. Their root chakra is damaged, and they just need, they think, because they went without. And so they're seeking things, okay? And there's no happiness within. They haven't been taught how to be happy from within, because it's pretty hard to feel grateful as a child when you're laying there in bed hungry and cold, and you don't know where your next meal is coming from, right? Feeling those things. Or, you're a little kid and your friend has a nice bike, and he wants you to go riding the bicycle with him, but you don't have one because your family can't afford one, and you feel like an outcast. And do you see what I'm saying? So people get driven by things, that next thing. And so this person that I know that works in the trades right now is finishing up a house that's been being worked on for a long time, and it's a beautiful house, because it's being built by people that have lots of money and lots of means, and they spare no expense, right? Now, they're all uptight because the house isn't ready yet. And of course, if you know anything about construction and the trades, shit happens all the time that causes things to be held up and not done, because now they're waiting on this next thing, or now they're waiting on this, or the painters can't get in because the carpenters have to finish this room before the painters can get into that room. And now the carpenters can't get into this room, which is where they were going to go in and work more, because the plumbers are in there right now. But then they go down to, start doing work in the kitchen, and that just happens to be where the electrical box is. And so the electricians are working in there now. And it's real chaos, And the people with the idea of wanting their house done at a certain time, You know, they want everything done lickety-split in a hot minute. But the fact is, they have no appreciation for what actually goes into creating this thing, because they don't do any of the things that need to be done to create this thing. Am I making sense? Like, they don't have an appreciation for what it takes to do the electrical work or the plumbing or the building or the painting or the mudding and the sheetrocking and the taping and or the roofing and, you know, all of these things that have to happen. They don't have an appreciation for that because that's work they've never done. And so they can't understand why it just isn't all happening in a New York second. So this person that I know that's working on a house where much of this is happening, because that's what happens when you work in the trades, the people that are having the house built want to be in it. They want to be in it. And what's funny is that this house isn't actually all that far away from the already very beautiful home that they're living in. But they want to get out of that already very beautiful home because it's lost its ability to give them the high that they get when they have the things. Because probably these people are not happy within. And in order to get that high and those endorphins and those happy feelings, they're seeking this next thing instead of feeling happy from within. So they're frustrated because they really need to feel happy, but they don't have this next thing that they think is going to make them feel happy, which will only actually make them feel happy for a little bit until the newness wears off. And then they'll be back to seeking the next thing. Do you see what I'm saying? So happiness has got to come from within. And these are things that need to be healed spiritually, emotionally, physically, energetically. And I believe that we're getting a huge pep talk from my team and our creator and my highest self about doing just that. Because we'll never be happy if it always is dependent on what's happening with these systems and the changes that are happening around the world. Has to come from within. And they're telling us to focus on good things, get our minds out of the gutter, out of the doldrums, stop focusing on the negatives, work on healing ourselves a little bit. Because as this world changes and we're not healing ourselves and we're not healing that next trigger and we're just walking in fear, which my team has been saying don't do since the very first day that I pulled the card on Facebook for my neighborhood, we're never going to reach that place that we're meant to be going to. Do you know what I'm saying? We'll never be happy. We'll never be satisfied. We'll always be looking for that next thing. And we won't be able to fully appreciate the things that we have, the things that we've acquired, the changes that have been made. Is that making sense? So I think that's what's going on here. And I just want to double check and see if I'm getting this. Have I delivered these messages? Please and thank you. One more. Two, yeah, create the balance. Very imbalanced. There's a lot of emotional roller coaster going on. There's a lot of imbalance. There's so much disappointment that people are looking at and they're not turning around for the good stuff. Things are ending. The chains have been broken. How are we doing? Done? The chains have been broken. We ended the cycle of chains being broken. That physical work to do balance now is the emotional balance that we all need to do within. And we're looking at the chaos. We're looking at the things spilt. We're not seeing the happiness that ended a cycle where we were bound literally to the devil. How's that? That's good. Finally done. So that was quite a message. That was quite a message for all of us, not just the UK. That was for all of us. I'm quite a ways in. I don't think I even need to ask about what I was going to ask with the Hanged Man, because they gave us that, we broke that cycle, being bound to the devil. We've broken that cycle. That's done. This cycle ended. And we've got to stop focusing on this cycle and turn around and look at this stuff. Rebalance. And I finally delivered everything they wanted to say. They wanted to end it with, we broke that cycle. Those chains of those chains that bound us, they're broken. And so they want us to start living as though that's the case. That was quite the pep talk. My team is, your guides, your team, your highest self and your guides, they work with you based on your personality, right? So my guides are chatty because I'm chatty. My parents said, my father's best friend said, I was lifting my head and babbling up a storm in the bassinet. He couldn't shut me up as a baby. And so I'm pretty talkative and I'm pretty chatty. So my guides work with me in that way. And they have been at times when I had like zero support in this world, emotional support and physical support, my guides have been the best pep talkers, the best support system to help shake me back where I needed to be, to bring me back into a state of gratitude when I was down in the doldrums and really, really down emotionally, sometimes mentally just feeling spent, spiritually worn out, physically exhausted. And I mean, they've really helped me, and I think that's what, through being this way with me, like really, really showing me, to be grateful, that it's on me, to do it. And I think that's what they just did for all of us again. They're validating that we all feel this way sometimes, but they're saying, in the words of the Eagles, get over it. Get over it, pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and start actually doing our personal work to lift our frequencies again and get out of fear, because the chains have been broken. And so we need to start living as though that is the case. All right, you guys. I would ask them for one more card. Normally, right, that's what we would do. We would do a, what do you want to leave us with? But they left us with quite a lot. They left us with quite a lot. So with all of that being said, take from this reading what you will, and, toss the rest. Listen to what resonates and toss the rest if you want. Do with the advice what you will, but that's the universal message that we got. And that's what we got for you folks with the UK, that things have ended. You're just living through right now, in the center of that all is like the physical play out, where the spotlight's being shown on the suffering and the systems and all of that. That's what I'm getting, at least, you guys. That's just what I'm getting. Until next time, I guess I'll come back and I'll take a peek at Canada. But until next time, you guys, I'm sending you shit tons of love and high vibrations and courage and vitality and self-healing and all of those things. High vibes. Know that I love you all, and I will see you all soonish. All right, you guys, take care. Bye.